Hello, my name is Gareth Crawford. I'm the head of DRM for the Asia Regional Office, and I became head of DRM in November 2012. So Typhoon Bopha in the Philippines was the first major response that I was involved in with Plan. The success of this response, I think, is a credit to the whole One Plan philosophy, bringing together resources from right across the organisation. This included staff from the regional office, from IH, several NOs, and by no means least, of course, the Plan Philippines country office staff themselves. There's no good time for emergencies to occur, but yet again, the Philippines experienced a major natural disaster over the Christmas period, I think for the third year in a row, which meant that a lot of people had to give up personal time, family and vacation time in order to ensure that we provided a response of sufficient scale and timeliness to what was a very significant disaster. One of the few advantages of typhoons and having a typhoon season is that you get some advance warning of an imminent disaster. This meant that we were able to deploy Matt Crook from the regional communications team well ahead of time, and that the Plan Philippines Go teams, the emergency response teams, were on standby and ready to go before the typhoon made landfall, as was IH's Child Protection and Emergencies Advisor, Janice Ridsdale, 3 Plan Arrow disaster response staff, and various national organisations were prepared to respond once the typhoon made landfall. Karen van der Hoor, who's the Plan Philippines country director, did an excellent job in lobbying with partners and other organisations before the typhoon actually struck, so that when the initial humanitarian coordination team meeting was held in Mindanao, Plan was excellently positioned to voice our concerns that children's need must be prioritised as part of this response. The Typhoon Bopha was originally predicted to make landfall in areas where Plan had already been operating disaster risk reduction programs specifically for such a scenario. However, at the last minute, unfortunately, Typhoon Pablo veered south to hit Mindanao, an area where Plan was not currently operating at that time. Nevertheless, thanks to all the previous preparedness elements, Plan's Go team were on the ground, delivering assistance and assessing the needs immediately it was safe to do so once the typhoon had passed. The Plan Philippines staff were there and amongst the first to arrive in difficult to access typhoon affected areas was noticed by many other actors, including specifically the USAID OFTA representatives. And this directly led to us securing a $1 million grant for relief aid from OFDA, the USAID's Disaster Response Office. I should specifically acknowledge the efforts of Frank Manfredi from USNO and his team for their support in securing this OFDA grant. Washington DC happens to be exactly 12 hours behind the Philippines, which meant a lot of late nights and very early mornings for Frank in finalising the fine details of temporary shelter specifications for this particular proposal. With the added help of INO, Irish National Organisation, SNO, Sweden, the German National Office, ANO and UKNO, plus rapid response contingency funds from both IH and the Asia Regional Office, over $2 million was very quickly mobilised for the typhoon response. Whilst most of the credit, I think, has to go to Karen van der Hoor and the Plan Philippines team, this was a genuine one-plan effort and a great example of how planning, preparedness and excellent coordination can significantly enhance Plan's agility and capacity to respond to a major disaster.